Section 1 Theory. Chapter 1 Medical Education Research from an International Perspective. Prenila Weiss, Mohammed Najjar, Per Bansal, Larry D. Gruppen. Abstract. In many countries, the field of medical education is at a nascent stage of development and poorly understood. Medical education research is key to making medical education a scholarly field of study and more than just a domain of practice. Medical education research draws from many other disciplines for its research methods, theoretical frameworks, and analytics tools. It draws these together to form a scholarly body of knowledge that is rich and complex, and which needs to reflect the diversity of settings and problems reflected in the international character of medical education. Medical education research balances applied and theoretical approaches to a wide range of problems and phenomena. It benefits from a wide array of researcher perspectives and training. This chapter contains several suggestions, including the importance of international research collaborations. These are essential for identifying shared knowledge and localized contexts that together can prepare a global force of physicians who can address the healthcare needs of individuals and cultures. Key words: medical education, research, international collaboration, methods, theory. Assess need. Medical education research is a relatively young field, emerging in the 1950s as the application of educational and social sciences to medical education. Medical education research is an essential component of medical education. It provides the evidence for making educational decisions and the criteria for making informed educational decisions. The growth of MEUR has been considerable in the last 3 decades, fostered in part by more journals, conferences, faculty development, and educational innovations, both at national and international levels. As MEUR has grown, it becomes more apparent that we need to foster international discussion on research goals and establish many more international collaborations to actually study these phenomena. A disproportionate share of the research literature has come from Europe and North America. This imbalance introduces biases in the research evidence, the research questions asked, and the studies that are performed. We cannot assume that research from one culture or nation applies automatically to another. Such generalizability needs to be demonstrated and documented through research, which will require much more interaction among international colleagues and international research collaborations. Capacity building in educational research has implications for global health equity as it empowers faculty across boundaries to align educational decisions and practices to solve health problems in their own contexts in an evidence-based manner. Brief. Medical education research is a relatively young field, emerging in the 1950s as the application of educational and social sciences to medical education. A disproportionate share of the research literature comes from Europe and North America, which introduces biases in the research evidence, the research questions asked, and the studies that are performed. Globalization of medical education research is necessary to ensure that a world view is achieved to guide curricular reform, international standardization of competencies, and translation of knowledge for underrepresented regions to ensure that the needs of local patient populations and healthcare needs are met. Collaborating within and across communities in medical education research enables the sharing of resources and expertise in various domains. International collaboration in medical education research is complex, and while inequality in resources is unavoidable, care must be taken to ensure that the intellectual contributions to the studies are equitable. CONTXTUARIZE. The developing world has a larger disease burden and more medical and allied health institutions when compared to the developed world. Yet, these non-Western countries are underrepresented in health and medical research, referred to as the Chen 90th divide. This gap is also evident in medical education research. The inequity needs to be addressed through conscious international collaborative efforts to mentor, support, and strengthen medical education research productivity and quality, creating more opportunities and avenues for publication of the work therefrom. For MER to be impactful, it must be relevant. How can MER guide under-resourced countries help improve or develop curricula relevant to their context? Can we conduct research that reverses brain drain and converts it to brain gain? Research themes or areas need to be chosen with care with the overall goal of informing the curriculum process such as needs assessment, evaluation, research, assessment for measuring outcome attainment in specific contexts, and a focus on quality of research. Do countries with well-established MER recognize and understand the needs of their collaborators? Can MER tackle these problems alone, or do research collaborations need to be more inclusive of allied health professions as well? Additionally, how can MER address the challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic, such as the need for virtual teaching and healthcare delivery and massive disruptions in the surrounding society and culture? Describe. Medical education research plays a pivotal role in generating information that educators need to understand and advance teaching and learning to improve healthcare practice, patient care, and patient outcomes. Medical education research advances the skills, knowledge, and professionalism of health professional students by understanding and evaluating educational ecosystems. Furthermore, it provides the evidence and criteria for making informed educational decisions. Origin and development of MER. The need for the reform and clarification of the objectives of medical education led to the formation of national organizations such as the Association of American Medical Colleges in the United States in 1876 and institutional offices within medical schools to provide oversight of education. In 1910, the Flexner Report established the biomedical model as the gold standard of medical training. Medical education research arose in the 1950s as a result of the increasing emphasis on advancing knowledge and scientific research. The explosive growth of scientific and medical information, which required increasingly complex and lengthy curricula, the emergence of funding for MER, and the increased need for public accountability of medical education in the global north regions such as the United States, Europe, and Canada. In response to the increasing number of newly independent countries and part of its mission to improve health services for all, the World Health Organization led a number of initiatives to improve medical education and expand faculty development, which led to the birth of the Association for Medical Education in Europe in 1972. Additionally, who established 2 sites in the U.S. as international regional teacher training centers in 1969. Educational specialists trained in these IRTCs later established regional teacher training centers, which then collaborated to establish national teacher training centers with the objective of training teachers who could then establish medical education units within colleges in their respective countries. In India, faculty development in medical education arose in the 1970s and flourished as a result of the establishment of NTTCs. MEUs, the Consortium of Medical Institutions for the Reform of Medical Education, an initiative supported by the Foundation for Advancement in International Medical Education and Research. Medical education continues to evolve. However, the Lancet Commission's report in the centenary year of the Flexner Report highlights inequity in healthcare and quality of education and advocates for educational reforms to address these gaps. There has been a dramatic increase in the number of publications on MER, but the geographic representation of authors and articles is uneven. The most common themes of research from the English literature include student assessment, critical skills training, and clerkships, problem-based learning, community-based training, critical competence assessment, teaching clinical sciences, communication skills training, student characteristics, and objective structured clinical exams. There is marked geographic variability in both problem content and trends. Globalization of medical education and research is necessary to ensure that a world view is achieved to guide curricular reform, international standardization of competencies, and translation of knowledge for underrepresented regions to ensure that the needs of local patient populations and healthcare needs are met. Medical education as science. Education is a field of study. The learners, educators, curricula, systems of education, and healthcare are part of the ecosystem which provides raw material for inquiry, allowing it to be approached and analyzed from a diverse array of viewpoints and disciplines. The complexity of medical education allows a variety of scholarship traditions and perspectives. One set of contrasting traditions is research on teaching and learning versus research on fundamental mechanisms and phenomena with the goal of building theory. While each aims to understand learning experiences, they differ somewhat in methods and applications. Research on the practice of medical education draws upon experiential learning, and the investigator often serves as teacher integrated with the process of learning. In contrast, the educational research tradition is based upon the scientific method, with the investigator remaining objective and separate from the teaching experience. A related distinction in scientific perspective is made by Albert et al. Between service to the educational mission of the institution and science, or the generalized understanding of educational principle and phenomena. Medical education as research. Conducting research in medical education reflects a variety of methodologies, but can be approached in a stepwise manner. Medical education research can utilize quantitative methods similar to those used in clinical research, or qualitative methods. Quantitative methods measure the associations and causal relationships between variables, while qualitative studies aim to understand the circumstances from the viewpoint of the study participants, which may generate a deeper understanding of phenomena by uncovering unanticipated findings. The outcomes and influences in medical education are generally intangible and difficult to define, to say nothing of assessing them. Constructs such as motivation, knowledge, skilled performance, expertise, identity, professionalism, and hundreds more are all important variables, but to study them, we must have ways of measuring them. There is a sizable body of tools that already exist, including knowledge tests, attitude surveys, performance assessments, standardized patients, and many others, but there is always a need for new and better assessments, especially of new constructs. One very important form of scholarship in MEUR is the development of assessment procedures and gathering validity evidence for these methods. Improving medical education research from an international perspective. Theory and conceptual frameworks. A common complaint of MEUR is that too many studies lack a conceptual framework, which is a way to think about a problem or complex relationships. Too often MEUR lacks the formulation of models and theories and does not build upon previous results. Many MEUR studies describe what was done or did it work. However, MEUR should go beyond and should strive to answer the how and why of a phenomenon or intervention. Medical education research should generate new hypotheses which can move the field forward. For example, most studies on problem-based learning focus on comparing its effectiveness to more traditional teaching methods such as lecture. However, few studies have addressed the mechanisms by which it works. Medical education research naturally uses educational theories, but it would benefit from broadening its scope to include sociological, ecological, economical, and systems theories. Integration of diverse disciplines and viewpoints is important and can enhance pedagogy and healthcare system design. Medical education research would benefit from incorporating more elements of the scientific approach characterized by iterative cycles of observation, hypothesis formulation, prediction of results based on the hypothesis, and experimentation, which would result in expanding the field of knowledge. The present emphasis on competency-based education is an example of a broad educational framework that incorporates theories from systems and implementation science, evaluation research, psychology, and educational technologies to guide the development of hypothesis-driven and exploratory research efforts to improve the practice of medical education. Grounding in the literature. One important way to improve the theoretical foundation on which MER rests is to carefully examine the existing research literature. However, accessing the literature in MER is costly and often challenging. Medical education research literature databases are not identical to biomedical literature databases. PubMed is not sufficient, although it covers the majority of medical education journals. Many educational problems in the health professions require literature from disciplines outside of medicine. Unfortunately, databases such as PsycInfo, ERIC, and others are seldom provided in many medical libraries. For example, research on burnout and wellness illustrates that although there is a substantial literature in medicine on these topics, the fundamental theory, principles, and interventions come from other disciplines, such as psychology, human resources, and business. Convenience research versus problem-oriented research. It is common for medical educators to find that they have access to large amounts of data on learners, curricular, and educational outcomes. It is natural that scholars explore these data and often find some interesting results and subsequently want to publish them. These studies are typically post hoc in nature, rarely have a clear theoretical foundation, and tend not to link well with existing knowledge of the chosen problem. These studies are convenient because the data are already collected and the study can be done without having to design an experiment or develop a measurement tool. Such studies are common in the medical education literature and are not without value, but they do not make as great a contribution to the field of MER as do studies that are designed with a specific research question in mind. Problem-oriented research is designed to provide an answer to a significant problem in the field, often with hard work and deep consideration of innovative studies that contribute to important questions. This is not to say that retrospective studies of existing data are inappropriate or flawed, but scholars need to engage in all the steps of scholarship. Examples of convenience research are common in connection with various survey instruments, e.g., learning environment questionnaires, which are often administered to a convenient sample of learners and then reported in a descriptive manner that doesn't advance our broader knowledge or theory on the topic. Disseminating medical education research. There is a growing number of national and international outlets for scholarly work. These include international journals like Academic Medicine, Medical Education, Teaching and Learning in Medicine, Advances in Health Sciences Education, Medical Teacher, the Network, TUFH Journal Education for Health, etc. Additionally, a growing number of new online-only journals have become available, such as BMC Medical Education, Medical Education Online, International Journal of Medical Education, and others. Scholars must beware of predatory journals that charge very high publication fees but provide limited distribution of or access to the accepted articles. These are often heralded by unsolicited mass emails to physicians and researchers. Limited peer review of these journals results in publication of poor quality scholarship with irreproducible results. One must also be wary of journals with very quick turnaround time, as the peer review process is likely to be absent or poor. Regardless of the publication, or presentation outlet, it is important for MER to meet quality metrics and essential elements that culminate in scholarship. Faculty development in medical education research. Medical education research is a field of specialized knowledge and practice and may require additional training for those seeking to enter. However, many faculty development programs are of short duration, focused on teaching improvement or assessment, and do not include development of research capabilities in education. Too often, MER has little or no demarcated resource allocation and is undervalued as a faculty pursuit. Still, opportunities for and access to advanced training in MER have increased. International faculty development initiatives such as Centers of Medical Education, established by the WHO, United States India Educational Foundation, Foundation for Advancement of International Medical Education and Research, the network. TUFH and several other institutional level initiatives have promoted project-based skill development in education and leadership in medical education through fellowships, with emphasis on converting the project work into educational scholarship, full-time as well as part-time, online. There are a growing number of faculty development offerings for international scholars from organizations such as AME or the Asia Pacific Medical Education Conference. Opportunities are offered locally at medical schools, national specialty and educational societies. Training in research methods, writing and publication, research team function, etc. supports higher quality research, productivity, and effective use of research resources. Mentoring in research skills is another important strategy for promoting MER. Funding for faculty from developing countries to pursue training in medical education in institutions abroad has resulted in many of them returning home and developing programs in their home countries. Collaborating in medical education research. Medical education research seeks to improve both educational practice and theoretical knowledge. Collaborative research is valuable to both goals. International collaborations can leverage these benefits and add to them the power of being able to generalize more fully the impact of the findings of a study that shows similar dynamics and outcomes across international boundaries. Conversely, the collaboration may reveal critical cultural differences that alter these dynamics and outcomes and enrich our theoretical understanding of the phenomenon under study. Collaborating within and across communities enables the sharing of such resources as expertise in various domains. Specialized knowledge is not evenly distributed, and forming collaborations is an important strategy for investigators to acquire that expertise. Similarly, research infrastructure resources can also be shared within a collaboration. Computing and data analysis software, survey development and administration, specialized simulation equipment, and other necessities for research can provide incentives for building collaborations. However, the sharing of resources and expertise that makes international collaborations attractive can lead to challenges in administration and the relationships among the investigators if there is imbalance in resource contributions. Such resource imbalances may be necessary, but care must be taken to prevent them from becoming imbalances in intellectual contributions to the study. All partners in the collaboration should have equal rights to designing the study, interpreting the data, and writing the manuscript. Similarly, authorship should not be determined by who contributed the most resources to the collaboration, but by intellectual and scholarly contribution. The complexity of such collaborations is shown in Table 1 based on the work by Larkin et al., which shows core concepts and associated attributes that contribute to successful global MER partnerships. Such international collaborations have grown in number over the past decade. One example is the collaborative effort of the Maharashtra University of the Health Sciences and the University of Michigan to jointly develop a competency-based master's degree program in health professions education. The collaboration focused on defining educational competencies that were salient to both cultures, educational research being a major one, and operational principles that addressed shared and unique characteristics of the educational institutions. The collaboration was supported by a grant from the United States India Educational Foundation, which enabled teams from each institution to visit the other institution to develop the blueprint for the program. An important part of this collaboration was that experts from both India and the US were equally engaged in the development process and mutually shared resources and ideas. Both institutions ultimately were able to establish their particular version of the shared program. Figure 1, Timeline for development of medical education research and the organizations that supported its growth. MERT, Medical Education Research, AMC, Association of American Medical Colleges, AMEE, Association for Medical Education in Europe, IRTTCs, International Regional Teacher Training Centers, and RTTCS, National Teacher Training Centers, MEUS, Medical Education Units, FAIMER, Foundation for Advancement in International Medical Education and Research. 876 AMC, 1950 MER, 1969 IRTTCs, 1972 AMEE, 1970 to 1990 NTTCS and MEUs in India, 1989 to 1995 Consortium of Medical Institutions for Reform in Medical Education in India, 2000 FAIMER. Table 1, Core Concepts and Attributes Necessary for Successful Global MER Partnerships. Core Concepts, Focus. Attributes, Common Goals, Shared Interests, Vision. Core Concepts, Values. Attributes, Culture, Societal Norms, Trust, Commitment. Core Concepts, Equity. Attributes, Recognition, Respect for different capacities, Sharing resources, Inclusion. Core concepts, benefit. Attributes, reciprocal, mutually beneficial, skills generation, rewarding experience, knowledge exchange. Core concepts, communication. Attributes, transparent, open, honest, consistent, effective. Core concepts, leadership. Attributes, delegation of roles, responsibilities, accountability, balance, diplomacy. Core concepts, resolution. Attributes, resolve, perseverance, determination, mediation, conflict resolution. Conclusion. Medical education research is essential to developing better educational programs and understanding the complexities of medical competence. It addresses both practical and theoretical concerns, but at present it does not represent an even examination of the diverse contexts in which medical education is conducted worldwide. Much more attention and effort need to be devoted to research efforts by international collaborations that seek a broader sampling of settings and cultures. Only with a truly international body of research evidence will we be able to make wise judgments about improving medical education and practice in local and global settings. Summarize. Medical education research is a multidisciplinary and complex domain of study which provides the evidence and criteria for making informed educational decisions. MER includes research on teaching and learning and on fundamental mechanisms and phenomena with the goal of building theory. MER is often based on educational theories. However, integration of diverse disciplines is important and can enhance pedagogy and healthcare system design. MER often lacks the formulation of models and theories and does not build upon previous results. Both replication and innovation are critical in MER. There are various types of MER: quantitative, qualitative and mixed methods. Reviewing the existing research literature is key to building a theoretical foundation. However, accessing it may be costly and challenging. Convenience studies, which are retrospective studies of existing data, do not make as great a contribution to the field of MEUINDIA as do studies with a specific research question in mind. Opportunities for and access to advanced training in MEUINDIA have increased through international and national organizations, including subspecialty societies. Collaborating within and across communities enables the sharing of resources. MEUINDIA benefits from international collaborations which ensure that a worldview is achieved to guide curricular reform, international standardization of competencies, and that the needs of local patient populations and healthcare are met. Resource imbalances within international collaborations may be unavoidable. However, care must be taken to ensure that the intellectual contributions to the study are equitable. Evaluate. Considering the points raised in this chapter, what would be a research question relevant to your context that would be of possible interest to medical educators in a different country or culture? How would you seek to find these international collaborators? Where would you look? How would you set up a collaboration? What areas of strength would you bring to the collaboration? And what areas of support would you need from collaborators? How could your national, regional, or cultural medical education community develop more organizational support for MEUINDIA and collaboration? What can you do to support those organizations? Road ahead. Medical education research continues to grow in quantity and quality, but there are many challenges confronting it. Funding, faculty development, research resources, and collaborations have all been identified above. Additional challenges are emerging. Medical education research has typically been driven by educational theories and perspectives, but there are alternatives that may merge with MEUINDIA, such as systems research, quality improvement studies, and clinical outcomes assessment. The world's healthcare needs and resources are becoming more entangled. Witness the impact of the COVID pandemic. The other health professions are advancing their own research efforts and outlets, which should receive a welcoming embrace by medical education researchers. Finally, there is the continuous turnover of senior investigators and scholars to be replaced by junior colleagues with innovative ideas and enthusiasm. We believe the future of MEUINDIA is rich and dynamic, and we hope that it will evolve to reflect the needs of the global healthcare system. Additional information, opportunities for networking and collaboration. Many medical education organizations with international representation focus on networking for faculty development in medical education and on creating collaborative opportunities for medical educators and researchers around the globe. The Foundation for Advancement of International Medical Education and Research, the Association of American Medical Colleges, the Association for Medical Education in Europe, and the Network Towards Unity for Health will be presented in this online version of the chapter. To learn more about other medical education organizations and collaboration opportunities, use the following link https://www.pit.edu/medical education organizations. The Foundation for Advancement of International Medical Education and Research. The Foundation for Advancement of International Medical Education and Research was established in 2000 by the Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates as a non-profit organization to improve the health of communities by cultivating international medical education through curriculum development. And the support for research https://www.famer.org. The strategic goal for FAIMER focuses on three thematic areas: creating educational opportunities for medical educators, discovering patterns and disseminating knowledge, and developing data resources. The geographic focus of the organization is on under-resourced areas like South Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Create educational opportunities for medical educators. FAIMER has two fellowship programs to train medical educators. The International FAIMER Institute that prepares health profession educators as leaders and curriculum developers in their home institutions, and FAIMER Regional Institute that focuses on improving medical education in developing regions in Asia, Africa, and Latin America through advancing FAIMER's regional centers of improvement in local medical education systems. To graduate from the fellowship programs, participants are expected to submit a proposal for educational change in their home institutions, discover patterns, and disseminate knowledge. FAIMER supports medical education research initiatives and collaborations between medical educators. It focuses on three main areas: international migration of physicians, United States physician workforce issues, international medical education programs. The scale of this effort helps inform policy makers in government, academia, and various other interested organizations. Develop data resources. FAIMER attempts to collect and present valuable medical education data and resources for international medical schools and their graduates. To achieve this goal, the organization developed and maintained different directories. The Directory of Organizations that recognizes and accredits medical schools, the Directory of Masters and PhD programs in health profession education worldwide, and the World Directory of Medical Schools that was established in association with the World Federation for Medical Education to provide a comprehensive collection of accurate and up-to-date information of medical schools in the world. The Association of American Medical Colleges. The AAMC was established in 1876 when deans and faculty from 22 colleges met at the Jefferson Medical College in Philadelphia to consider all matters relating to reform in medical college work. The work then was focused on regulating medical education in order to improve trust between medical schools. AAMC annual meetings were then used as a platform for medical school deans to discuss medical education issues and regulations. Presently, the association is known for its major role in helping medical colleges select applicants for medical schools and residency. AAMC develops and regulates the medical college admission tests, the American Medical College Application Service, and the Electronic Residency Application Service. AAMC currently includes 172 accredited medical colleges in the United States and Canada with more than 400 teaching hospitals and health systems. Its mission focuses on achieving excellence in four areas: medical education, patient care, medical research, and diversity, inclusion, and equity in healthcare. The organization provides knowledge, resources, and counseling for pre-medical students, medical students, and residents through AAMC Students and Residents webpage, https divided by studentsresidents.amc, or divided by, and forms affinity groups to provide its members with access to professional growth, leadership development, networking, and collaborations opportunities. https://www.opt.org/professio and ALDEVLOPMENT/affinity groups. Group on Educational Affairs. Since 1969, passionate medical educators have collaborated to form the GEA Affinity Group to improve medical education in North America through faculty development, curriculum development, educational research, and assessment in undergraduate, graduate, and continuing medical education. The GEA has four regions: Central GEA, Northeastern GEA, Southern GEA, and Western GEA. GEA regions form special interest groups to provide opportunities for members to collaborate in order to advance specific areas in medical education. The GEA has 4 sections to encompass the continuum of medical education. Undergraduate medical education to promote education of medical students from selection to graduation. Graduate medical education to promote education of physicians during residency training. Continuing professional development to promote education for physicians throughout their careers. Medical education scholarship research and evaluation that focuses on improving the quality of research in medical education and its application to educational practice. To accomplish its mission, MESRE creates collaborating opportunities through different GEA regions in the following areas: improving the quality of medical education scholarship, research and evaluation, fostering the professional development of medical educators who seek to contribute to scholarship, research and evaluation, building awareness and discourse in medical education scholarship to promote social justice and address health inequities, facilitating the exchange of new knowledge and research findings, and disseminating the results of novel scholarship, research and evaluation, and encouraging their application to educational practice in multiple contexts. Additionally, MESRE publishes an annotated bibliography of journals for educational scholarship. It has detailed information about topics, types of manuscripts, and audiences for more than 60 journals that publish medical education manuscripts. Conferences. AAMC facilitates yearly regional affinity groups meetings. However, Learn, Serve, and Lead is the signature learning and networking event where professionals from all over North America gather to discover new ideas, discuss emerging innovations, and share experience. https://www.amp.org/professional development. Events, Learn, Serve, Lead. Funding. AAMC receives grants from the U.S. federal government and private organizations for the work on different areas relevant to the mission of AAMC. https://www.amp.org/what-we-do. Grants and awards received. Journals. Academic Medicine is the official peer-reviewed journal of the AAMC. Its main focus is on the following areas: education and training issues, health and science policy, institutional policy, management and values, research practice, and clinical practice in academic settings. The Association for Medical Education in Europe. The AMEE was established in 1972 to facilitate communications among medical educators and to strengthen national associations for medical education throughout Europe. It is the European Regional Association of the World Federation for Medical Education and a member of the WFME Executive Council. Over the last 10 years, AME expanded its influence and activities to become an international association with members from more than 90 countries worldwide. The Association for Medical Education in Europe is a membership organization that assists teachers, physicians, researchers, administrators, curriculum developers, assessors, and students staying up to date with the rapidly changing health professions education in the world through educational activities, annual conferences, publications, face-to-face courses, online courses, AME for students, webinars, and other initiatives. https://me.org/home. AME is led by an executive committee consisting of a leader, general, treasury secretary, 6 members, 2 nominated students, the president of WFME, and the immediate WFME past president. One of our MEE main objective strategies is to be the foremost global community of health education stakeholders through encouraging diverse and collaborative global community building strategies for international engagement of medical education stakeholders at individual and institutional levels, create communities of practice that include specialists in regional challenges in medical education, and use AME conferences as means for global networking and knowledge sharing in medical education. Conferences. The AME annual conference provides an opportunity for international collaboration and networking with others of similar interest in addition to the chance to learn from experts in medical education and through variable workshops, teaching conferences, courses, and seminars. It is held usually late August divided by mid-September every year. The Ottawa Conference focuses on the assessment of competence in medical education. It provides an assembly for medical educators to network, share ideas and knowledge relevant to assessment of competence throughout the continuum of education. Journal. Medical Teacher is the official monthly peer-reviewed journal for the AME Medical Teacher. Other journals include MedEd Publish, AME Guide and Best Evidence Medical Education Guide, courses and master classes. AME offers different opportunities for face-to-face and online essential skills in medical education courses and master classes. The aim for these courses is to provide educators with fundamental principles and updates on current best practice for medical education. They target different aspects like https divided by me.org/what is ME courses. Initiatives. AME has initiative programs to highlight and support specific yet essential aspects in medical education. Ask MEE is an online tool that provides evidence-based and readily available answers to common questions relating to medical education hot topics such as feedback and trustable professional activities, lectures, problem-based learning, etc. Aspire to Excellence Initiative is a program to recognize and reward medical, dental, and veterinary schools and institutions with excellent educational initiatives in different areas like assessment of students, curriculum development, faculty development, simulation, etc. Best Evidence Medical Education is an international group of medical educators, universities, and organizations committed to the advancement of evidence-based educational practices in medical education through creating a culture of evidence-based education among individuals and institutions, publishing systematic review articles for best evidence, practice to be made available for the public, supporting individual medical educators and institutions to adopt best evidence in their educational practice. AME MedEd World is an international online HP education community that shares expertise to advance education. Its website and monthly newsletter provide updates on the latest developments from organizations and individuals in the medical education field, details of education courses and conferences worldwide, information about emerging learning technologies, access to a range of education resources, and a variety of recommended publications and resources relevant to health professionals. The Network Towards Unity for Health. The Network Toward Unity for Health was created in 1979 by the World Health Organization as a consortium of 18 medical schools invited from across the world. Institutions that represent innovative models of health professions, education for improved health, healthcare access, and healthcare delivery. It has since played a significant role in promoting healthcare equity through community-based education, dynamic research, and dedicated rural service. Its three pillars of focus to address global and local health needs have been social accountability, innovative medical education pedagogy such as problem-based learning, integrated clerkships into professional education and healthcare, etc., and communities at risk, including rural and indigenous communities, women, and the elderly. It emphasizes social accountability, equity, relevance, and cost effectiveness as core values for informing health policy. https divided by the networktough.org. In over 40 years since inception, it has endeavored to improve access, and equity in healthcare, trying to help build community-oriented medical schools, encompassing academic community partnerships. The collaborating schools from developed and developing countries have both learned from and often adapted each other's innovative practices, with expansion from institutional membership to include like-minded organizations, community health institutions, students, professionals, and thought leaders as members. It has since evolved to become a global connector, the network of networks. Activities. The network TUFH has a global advisory board, a secretariat consortium, and various task forces. Social accountability, interprofessional education and practice, women's health, indigenous and remote and rural health. The members engage in collaborative activities in alignment with the network's mission, such as student and faculty exchange, as well as innovative projects, in addition to the work done through the task forces. The annual conferences hosted by member organizations are opportunities for the task forces to meet, share experiences, and learn from each other. An online community leadership. Academies, student academies, and TUFH institutes are new additions to its activities. Journal. The network has its own journal, Education for Health, that serves as an outlet for the innovations and research done by the member institutions. The journal is Medline indexed and is in its 34th year of publication. It is an open access journal that actively encourages submissions from international contributors and students and aims to bridge the publishing divide, giving universal access to high quality publications. HTTPS divided by www.eductionforhealth.net/boutus.ask. The journal also publishes special issues related to conference themes and the overall mission of the network. Education for Health has published 864 articles from 72 countries between 2000 and 2020 and has an equally diverse reviewer pool from over 40 countries. Annual conferences. The annual conferences of the network TUFH are hosted by member organizations and provide opportunities for students and health professionals to engage with each other to form an intergenerational community where bidirectional learning occurs. The conferences are highly participatory. Site visits to local non-profit organizations, healthcare centers, and local communities provide a glimpse of activities in the host country and an opportunity to experience the local cultures and practices. HTTPS divided by the network.org/TUFH conferences. There are different formats for participants to present their work. Interactive thematic oral poster presentations, moderated group discussions and brainstorming sessions, workshops often related to the network's themes, TUFH talks moderated by experts with interactive discussions. Participants are also invited to attend, participate, and engage during the keynote speeches task force, meetings, regional meetings, Solutions Challenge, and the General Assembly meeting.